What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wagmi TV. The boys are back, and to close out the year, what we really wanted to do was to recap, to reflect, and to give our thoughts to you guys on the biggest stories of 2022. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below if you find anything useful. And with that, we really just want to kick it off. We're going to go through the good, the bad, and the straight up fugly parts of this wild year in crypto. So Garcia, go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah, so great intro there. So and one of the first things we're going to talk about, arguably the best thing that happened this year, maybe the brightest spot of 2022 in crypto, is the Ethereum merge. Much awaited. I think when Ethereum was first launching in the early 2010s, Vitalik was talking about this, and basically it's the point where Ethereum becomes proof of stake. So the Beacon chain merged with Ethereum mainnet, and that happened in, I believe, September. And kind of, we saw kind of the fallout of that into October, November. Everything went smoothly, super exciting, like one of the biggest transitions in crypto history. So this opens up the opportunity for Ethereum to have a higher throughput, more transactions per second, being more environmentally friendly, and lowering gas fees, hopefully. It didn't do all of that right away, but it's opening up the rest of the Ethereum roadmap into 2022, into 2023 with data sharding and being able to kind of increase some of those metrics there. So definitely probably one of the brightest spots of 2022 with the Ethereum merge.
Yeah, I'd say from a project standpoint, absolutely. This was 7 years in the making, something like that. So kind of like I think they talked about it as the most significant upgrade to really any public blockchain ever, right? And to add on top of that, right, it went off pretty much without a hitch, which is super big.
Seamless.
Seamless. I think one of the biggest things that I took from it was Ether issuance actually went down to its theoretical minimum, right? So it's the lowest rate of supply inflation. We always talk about ultrasound money, something that's going to be deflationary over time. So I think that was really cool to see. A lot of really awesome things came from that proof of stake upgrade. A lot more on the roadmap to come, but probably the most exciting thing of the year. So that's why I kind of started us with the good in this section.
Definitely huge news coming out of and big for the entire Ethereum community, as you alluded to. Totally seamless, right? No one even realized it happened. It was just like, we were just watching Twitter, and then Vitalik was like, "Yep, it's done. Boom, we're ready to go." Mata, you wanna on the spirit of some positives in crypto, you wanna hit us with some developments on the Ukraine side?
Yes, absolutely. I think, and just to share my screen quickly here, I think one of the biggest things outside of projects that happened that I thought was pretty decent for the crypto industry was the fighting of really totalitarianism, right? So as we all know, Russia invaded Ukraine. What ended up happening was $54 million of crypto was actually donated to the country of Ukraine when that happened. And so this was a situation where we saw, banks, traditional payment roads were unable to act quickly enough, right? So it's one of those really bonus pieces for cryptocurrency being permissionless, being really that instantaneous payment rail for them, right? They were able to send over USDT, BTC, Ethereum, stable coins. I think even a CryptoPunk was potentially donated to fund the military to help them move people away from the front lines, right? So I think it was really cool just from that perspective to see cryptocurrency at work in a way that didn't feel fabricated. It didn't feel like Ponzi scheme-esque. And so it could be taken a little bit more seriously from that standpoint. So I think that was super exciting news just to kind of see how cryptocurrency can be utilized and how that can really be kind of the future of how a lot of those big transactions and financing works.
I mean, super awesome stuff, and something where it's a cause we can all get behind, and then also just showcasing that utility that we talk about, where you're able to easily transfer value without going through these huge international loopholes that have been huge burdens for decades now. So honestly, a super cool story and just a great place where crypto can fit in and really help people in a time of need, especially when they needed it. So pretty awesome. And I think taking us into our next story would be NFTs being used within social media. NFTs were a huge hit in 2021. We saw the rise of Ethereum NFTs, Solana NFTs, and then we also saw social media companies get into it where they wanted to be able to add NFTs to the platform and also allow creators on their platforms to showcase their NFTs. So we saw Reddit launch a Polygon blockchain-based collection with 3.4 million holders, where all of those holders were Reddit users. We saw Facebook and Instagram add features to allow creators to be able to showcase their work and art better. And it was really just an awesome year for allowing creators to display their art and create a strong community out of their passionate work that they put time and effort into.
Yeah, and I think this is a really great one. Honestly, I think it was really, really bullish news that came out. I mean, you're talking Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok, right? All the major platforms started to kind of adopt NFTs, started to integrate them. And no matter what you think about NFTs, right? I think that's kind of beside the point, right? NFTs were really starting to help get the Web 2 audiences exposed to kind of Web 3 projects and what that looks like. And we talk about that all the time. How can we get this seamless transition of people over from Web 2 utilizing things like Web 3 without even knowing it? So I think that was kind of a first step into that and what made that pretty good news and pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, with obviously the NFT hype and things like Bored Ape Yacht Club, like people got kind of stuck up in the weeds of like, oh, well, why am I paying $400,000 for a picture of an ape? And it's not necessarily that. It's more so the technology that the NFT represents and kind of the instant verification of your ownership. That type of, it's more the technology that we want to see, move forward as opposed to, okay, we're looking project by project. So it was cool to see social media pick that up.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, when you look at what's really interesting in the Web3 landscape, you have so many different people who resonate with so many different parts of it. What's cool about the NFTs is you can really see people who aren't into finance or anything like that, or not even into tech at all. You really see a lot of content creators and people who don't even think about a lot of the financial aspects of it, but they're really, getting into the Web3 space, and it really attracts them. So yeah, completely agree with everything you guys say. I guess to kind of round us out on the good side of things, right? What's clear is that, crypto is definitely making a lot of progress. But I would say that like this year, obviously not as bullish as we would have liked, but almost a blessing in disguise, I would call it. It's the type of thing where we made a lot of progress this year, but the hype was just way too high, right? Like crypto really had to take a look in the mirror and kind of understand where it is and understand where its weaknesses lie, right? And so I think in the long run, that's going to be a blessing in disguise. Things like, doing our best to avoid like straight up scams, right? So many crypto projects were just straight up rug pulls and things like that. So like being cognizant of that and like realizing that that's like a real downfall and a real trust issue for a lot of people. Also things like user experience that we talk about all the time, right? That's such a big detracting aspect for a lot of people who aren't really, into Web3 at all. They're saying, why does it take so much time and effort to like learn how to do something very, very basic, right? And so I think, crypto as a whole industry had to really look itself in the face and say, okay, yeah, this is a downfall, and we need to go fix this. There's a lot of companies that are aiming to fix that now. That being said, I thought, one of the big positive signals was that you do have institutions getting involved in the space, right? We talked about Starbucks' NFT project that they're launching on Polygon, right? JP Morgan did their first DeFi trade less than 2 months ago. So that's like peak bear market. JP Morgan is still operating and experimenting with DeFi. You have, I think we also covered in some of our previous episodes, Fidelity, right? Launching their own crypto arm. So these institutional players are really here. And that's kind of, the main positive takeaway that I had. So with all that being said, now we're going to hop into the bad. So clearly this year has been a super, super tumultuous year. And, when you think about how the year kind of went, we started off, it was like, we were tanking a little bit. Fed was hiking interest rates. No one knew how bad it was going to get. And there was one really important event, one main catalyst that really was the first domino to fall. And that was Terra Luna, right? Back in May. And we have a whole episode on that one. We can go back, we can link that, and people can go back and check that out. But it was really the first domino to fall. And just as a quick recap, it was basically an algorithmic stablecoin that had, Terra at its peak had $40 billion of market cap, was one of the most high flying cryptos, easily top 5 cryptocurrency. Their stablecoin UST was one of the top used stablecoins, and it was an algorithmic stablecoin. And what ended up happening was it lost its peg, and that dragged down the entire project from top to bottom. In a matter of days, $40 billion was wiped off the face of the planet, essentially. And a lot of people were stuck holding that bag. In the meantime, Do Kwon went from, saying that steady lads, the famous, all-encompassing famous last words of Do Kwon before he went absolutely silent. Just an absolutely wild week, honestly, back in May of 2022. Fast forward to now, I believe Do Kwon is on the run, and the last I heard, he was maybe in Siberia, running from the government. So, total craziness, but really the first domino to set off this whole host of bad events that we're going to cover quickly.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think when this was all happening back in May, right? That was just pre-summer. I feel like we were all kind of maybe a little bit cognizant that we were in a bear market, but this really, I feel like, kicked it off for crypto. And not just for the crypto industry, right? It was one of the largest capital destruction events in human history in general. So really interesting to see how that's gone. And, I don't know how much trust is going to be put in an algorithmic stablecoin here moving forward. So maybe that's what we've learned, at least from this event. I think the next piece that we want to cover in lieu of Terra Luna was kind of the result of the Terra Luna collapse, which was actually Three Arrows Capital. So Three Arrows Capital, you can see here on the right, pulled this from one of our favorite YouTubers, Invest Answers, but this is essentially all the organizations that Three Arrows Capital ended up borrowing from. But it essentially took the destruction of Terra Luna and UST and essentially spread it out into the entire crypto industry. So I guess kind of the thought process here is, right, they could have just gone down themselves, but instead they elected to continue to borrow from really anyone that would give them money, right? BlockFi, Genesis, Voyager, you name it, right? So it ended up taking many credit facilities down with them, ultimately impacting, right, the retail and customer deposits that we always talk about. So again, we all kind of praised Do Kwon. What we, I think, learned from this is nobody's a god, right? And being a little bit too cocky and being a little bit too confident can lead to a downfall. And it's been pretty much the downfall, I feel like, of all of these crashes that we talk about in the bad section here in 2022, is just being a little bit too confident and not kind of trying to peek around the corner to see what could come next.
And it also, it feels like we're still feeling the effects of the Three Arrows Capital saga to this day. On that, we saw BlockFi. I think we saw Genesis Capital, who we covered in a couple episodes back, and their relationship with Grayscale. There's a lot of this stuff, including FTX, this next segment, where it's still playing out, and there's a lot that'll still unravel into 2023. And I think, FTX, Alameda, Three Arrows, Luna, it's just this contagion that we've seen over 2022 that we've covered, but it's been eye-opening to really see how far things can go when there isn't a bailout, when this is so almost like an unregulated industry where there's not somebody to backstop this. And so we saw FTX go bankrupt this year. We saw Sam Bankman-Fried face fraud charges currently ongoing. He's in jail in the Bahamas. And what we've really uncovered is this unique relationship that we had between FTX and Alameda, where there was basically no strings attached. They could take whatever they wanted out of FTX and use customer funds to trade whatever market they wanted to. And that was a huge problem that we've started to see just the effects on crypto, because, it felt like early on in 2022, we saw a lot of institutional investors starting to feel confident and wanting to dip their toes into crypto. And since some of these events that we've talked about, there's a lot of these institutional investors that need to regain their confidence. And so we've talked about it. It's these three, different events that have happened have definitely kind of shaken the confidence and have definitely led to some of the downward price action. So good 3 bad events to start off with for 2022 on this list.
I mean, this has got to be the worst,
Yeah.
right, of 2022, right? It was a very trusted company. It felt like a black swan a bit, and then everything started to uncover, and it was just kind of like, how was this not seen, right? And so, again, a big learning point for just the crypto industry as a whole. And just like 3 Arrows Capital, right? They borrowed, they spread contagion, took as many people down as possible. And really their mistakes were spread out through the entire industry. So the unfortunate part is it seems like it was a fraud to begin with. And it just so happened to be this year that we learned it and SBF himself were frauds. So
Sam Bankman-Fraud.
Mr. Fraud.
So we want to switch gears a little bit to chat about some of the hacks, right?
Yeah. Do we want to, let's chat about Tornado Cash first, and then we'll go into the hacks.
Oh yeah. So the Tornado Cash, we'll keep it brief. Honestly, a very just tumultuous situation, very unfortunate situation, and pretty controversial as well. So Tornado Cash, we have a whole episode on it that we covered, so we'll link that as well. But basically, the U.S. government came down and put extreme sanctions on this company called Tornado Cash, which was a decentralized entity. And the U.S. basically said that any assets held by Tornado Cash were frozen, and any U.S. companies or individuals were barred from interacting with it whatsoever, right? And they made this huge blanket mandate. And that caused a bunch of issues that we go into in our video. The really crazy part here is that they actually arrested, and I believe the core developer is still arrested, right? So they basically are setting this weird precedent of, you create like a decentralized application or something, and we're still going to go arrest you, even though, sure, nefarious things were happening on that platform. People were laundering money and things. But also going back to Armada's point with Ukraine, there are a lot of people also donating to Ukraine through using Tornado Cash, right? So it was clearly not like all bad. So have this blanket mandate on it was really not great to see. So pretty brutal there, but we'll kind of see how things develop there. Hopping into the hacks now. Who's got it?
Yeah, let me share this little visual for us. I thought this was interesting, not just from the hacks perspective, we'll get into that, but really just the major crypto blowups of 2022. And I took a screenshot of this and put it in our group chat that we have. And unfortunately, I don't have who it came from. I know it was someone on Twitter, so we can follow up with that once we have that. But all of them are called out in here, right? FTX, Luna, 3 Arrows, Genesis, Celsius, right? All of these centralized finance organizations were really the top blow-ups. Mm-hmm. What was interesting was, and especially early on, right? I believe it was February, we heard about the wormhole hack, right? So that was February 2022. It was about $320 million and was the largest hack at that point in the year. And it ended up being replenished by Jump Capital. And so that was actually one of the reasons why the contagion was so bad. They actually didn't have money to continue to save the industry because they actually went and saved Wormhole very, very quickly, if you guys remember that. On top of that, right, then we had the Ronin hack, which came in at about $600 million. And that also happened in February. So combined, those add up to almost $1 billion just between those two hacks. And it was really so bad because of the way that private keys were held. And it actually did come out later that North Korea was the one who actually hacked the sidechain, and all private keys were online and on one server, which allowed them to seize all of that money, which was a super interesting kind of lead into that. And again, everything was a little bit connected. The thought is that actually led to some of the sanctioning of Tornado Cash as well. So it's just the sloppiness, the shortcuts that kind of led to this, the things that Soham kind of mentioned in the good were kind of things that came from a lot of these hacks and a lot of these bad events that happened in the space. And I think we can all agree that kind of cross-chain or I guess polychain or multi-chain world is kind of the future for us. I guess we're just going to have to really figure out how to do that without having these really insecure one-off or ad hoc bridges that are super easy to go in and hack. So it wasn't the only hacks we heard about this year, but those were the two big ones that we wanted to highlight in the bad. I think now we have the best section, right? The FUGLY section.
We're on to the straight up FUGLY. I mean, this year was wild in a lot of ways, and we've recapped here some of the most absurd stories of the year, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we do. I guess to start off, we're gonna do the okay. So for a little backstory, a couple in New York City by the name of something Lichtenstein and this lady Heather Morgan were arrested in February. Allegedly, they stole somewhere in the range of $3.5 to $4.5 billion at that time's mark to market. Allegedly, it was a hack from 2016, and these people were just hanging out and chilling in New York City. And not only that, this lady is apparently a rapper, or was at least. You got the absurdity of this story is just it never gets old.
I love how they call it self-proclaimed Crocodile Wall Street. An entrepreneur, a rapper, a YouTuber, a former columnist at Forbes. Crazy how that happened. And then taught at a Hong Kong university. So let's play a little bit of her rap song so you can all hear how incredible she is.
Always be a goat, not a goddamn sheep. Email me, fuck your message at the beep. Spirit of a revolutionary, power of a dictator. Love to be contrary, but I'm fly like a gator. I got pellets.
I'm gonna cut that there.
That is brutal.
Yeah, we don't want your ears to bleed. We don't want that to happen.
Unbelievable. I mean, okay, with that story, we should have known that this year was just going to be totally whack, right? like that was literally to start the year. I think it was like the first week of February. So totally wild. So if that wasn't crazy enough, we've got a few more here. Who wants it?
Yeah, the next one up is our best friend Caroline Ellison from Caroline Capital, SBF. This is was SBF's main squeeze apparently, but I guess they had some sort of polyamorous relationship going on in the Bahamas, so no one really knows. They had a bunch of these people together, all just banging each other. Not really sure what's going on there, but basically. Caroline was the CEO of Alameda Research, so she was directly involved with a lot of the fraud that was going on. And funny enough, a week ahead of when SBF was actually brought into custody in the Bahamas, Caroline was seen in New York in a coffee shop where she hadn't been seen for months. And the speculation was that she was in New York City to actually basically hand SBF over to the authorities and then get, in exchange for amnesty with whatever she was involved with. I don't know if that's actually what happened. Maybe we'll actually know. But literally a week after that, SBF's in custody with Bahamian authorities. And so just a really, really rough look for this guy, SBF. You figure someone who's worth whatever he was worth, 30 billion would maybe shape that up a little bit better. But we'll see what
it
happens.
Really be
with
your
her.
own. It really be your
yeah,
own.
it really be your Sloan. I mean, it really like it's just so what a wacky way. I mean, like to Solomon's point, when stuff like this happens, you just gotta laugh. Like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean that's a
So
real.
firmly. He just fit so firmly in the fugly category that we just couldn't leave him out. Like,
Yeah,
just makes
I mean,
perfect sense.
look at these two. We got one. We got two.
Oh man, yeah. Oh man,
it's a real Romeo and Juliet.
It's a real of crypto fraudsters.
Of crypto fraud. Yeah, I think they
Fraud doesn't care about looks apparently with our next one, Hive.
well, maybe, but I will say they do fall second to the Crocodile of Wall Street. I mean, what a couple! Like if we're going crypto couples, that's number one. SPF Caroline number two, and then yeah, like you're saying, Garcia, talk about banging. We've got the Lana Rose rug NFT collection that we saw this year, and this was a big one. I think. Unfortunately for Lana, she was advised maybe a year too late to hop into crypto and rug all of her OnlyFans followers. But essentially what she did here was post the collection, obviously, I think it was called Crypto Sis. So you can make up your own meaning for that. But, she came in, rugged it, took all the money. And then I think the latest update from this one is she may be getting sued for this. But yeah, just another all-time moment in the year 2022 for crypto.
I love that the phrase under the headline is her community was getting too negative, so she decided to shut down the. Like that's why it's like no,
right.
no,
because
no,
that was
no.
the reason.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious.
I mean, if I was going to get rugged by one person on planet Earth,
It's Lana. It's Lana.
Yeah, at least it's not SPF and Caroline. Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair.
Speaking of
That's
people
fair.
who got into NFTs about a year too late, see, you got the next one for us.
Yeah. The famous Mr. Trump. He had kind of posted a little bit about. Actually, just a few days before he dropped this, he said he had some big announcement, and people thought he was like, something about the presidential election or something, and it actually ended up just being his NFT collection. So it was it's basically a bunch of trading cards that look similar to this. Him doing all different weird stuff. It was about 40,000 items, I think, in the collection last time I looked, and so they minted out for $100 a piece. I think the high was about a little shy of an ETH, so $100 to maybe like a grandish is probably the highest they got. And right now they're sitting at overall volume of 8.4 million. So he did all right for no work. I mean, he hired probably a digital artist and that was it. And was just like, let's do it. And probably just had it automatically generated. But, the NFT.
Have you guys
Keep
seen
going.
those like AI artworks that are like going around the internet?
Yeah, he probably did
It
that.
literally looks like Trump just put his like some selfies up and just like had the AI artwork just generate images.
Yeah, man. I guess he's running out of ways to generate some funds, so he's gotta start NFTing.
Yeah, we're not the only ones struggling in this economy.
Yeah.
Oh man! Well, to cap us off with the Fugly, honestly, one of the crazier events I think that we saw. This was kind of leading up to FTX was the BitBoy rant. So I think let's give this a quick listen to, huh?
Best moment in
Just an all-timer.
2022.
I don't represent the people. The fuck I don't. I'm the one who does. It's me. I'm the one out here putting the work in behind the scenes trying to save crypto while these devils, Sam Bankman-Fried, Brian Armstrong, they're trying to permanently ruin it. This is not about money for me. I hope you guys understand this. I'm here fighting for you. This guy with these freaking glasses on, this douchebag, is out here trying to tell you that only the suits know what to do.
This guy in his freaking glasses.
Shout out Bankless.
The Bankless
Damn.
boys were getting ripped apart on that one.
But I mean, he ended up being right, guys. That's the crazy.
Yeah.
That's
We're
the
all
wild
laughing
part.
about it.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that when he posted that, like looking back in some of the tweets on his account, like he was getting a ton of flack because everyone was like, "What do you mean, bro? Like FTX is the best exchange. Like it's the most secure. It's like, what are you talking about? Like you're just doing this for hits." And then it turns out he was the one that was on the right
knew
trail
it.
the whole time. So yeah, he knew it.
Crazy,
Unreal.
crazy.
No, that's an all timer, and especially because he was right, that's gonna go down like the history books as just pure legendary. We got to bookmark that one. Crazy. Well, that's gonna be the quote to cap off this wild year in crypto. We hope you enjoyed our 2022 recap. We will be back in 2023 as always. The boys from Wagmi. We love all you viewers. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if we missed anything, if we missed any fugly articles or fugly news stories, please let us
tell
know.
us your favorite moments. We would love to hear your favorite moments.
Let us know your favorite moment and least favorite moment from this year in crypto. Again, to the viewers, we want to thank you for a phenomenal year, and we want to wish you a happy holidays and a wonderful new year. And the boys from Wagmi TV, we'll see you guys in 2023, and we're going to be ready to crush it.
Wagmi.
Oh.
Wagmi.